Okay, so maybe I won't call him Frank and Teddy. Maybe I'll just call him Frank. So Frank has got his eyes now. Okay, and I've pulled his eyes back into his head a little bit. Sounds strange, but it actually does give him a little bit more personality. Okay, because if I'm going to be stitching down here, the nose does actually stick out the way it should. All right, so now when it comes to attaching him to the body. Now on my original one, what I did was I wanted the head to move, but the head moved a little bit too much. And the way that I allowed it to move was I put a button on it and then I put it inside the body and I stitched it up. Okay, so that is still an option if you want to. You might want to stitch up the bottom part, or even before you stitch up the bottom part, add a button to the end, and then you can sink the button in to the body and stitch it in that way. Okay, so that's one option. The second option, which is probably the option I'm going to go for, is I want the head just to be stuck there. Okay, I don't really want anything else to happen to him. So his arms and legs move, that's enough for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put him on this way. Now, there's once again another option that you can do. So once again, all this is up to you. If you've got a large button and you want him to actually have some form of a neck, now once again, I'm not that fussed, but some people can be, so that's why I like to give people some options. One option is push the button inside, okay, and then when you place his head down, he's actually got a bit of width there, and then you can stitch along the edges, okay? So you can do that. For me, I'm not really that fussed about him having a big solid neck, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna stitch him onto there. Now, the best thing to do is make a little bit of a hole or an indent in your wadding, okay? And you're just gonna group together these bits of fabric and you're just gonna place them inside his head like that, okay? So now while his head is there, you can check that there is no wadding hanging out and that his head is aligned the way you want it, all right? Now, this is once again, if you've got a multicolored bear, it is going to be hard because you're going to have to do some stitching. So maybe you want to do various stitching to hold him in, okay, hold him in place. Now, for me, once again, I'm only going to be doing my black stitching, okay? So I've got my needle and thread, and I'll definitely need to put a little bit more thread on this one because I've only got a small amount left on this spool, so I'll have to get myself some more. But once again, I'm just putting my knot in the end so that he doesn't go anywhere. And what I am going to do is, I know mine is black and it's going to stand out either way, but I am going to just go up inside his head a bit so that I can come out and it will be slightly hidden. All right, so once again, you don't want to go too far into his head and try not to prick yourself like I just did. Okay, and then once again, I'm going to do that little lock stitch that I've done pretty much throughout the whole teddy bear design. All right, so once again, I'm just going to attach it that way. Okay, if it makes it easier, it might be better to attach it at each end. So this end, this end, this end, this end, with one stitch, and then you can stitch all the way along. All right, so whatever level you're up to, I guess, is what it comes down to. So, and then what you're going to do is, while you're stitching your teddy, you've just got to force his head down, or her head, or its head down, while you're stitching it, okay, to make sure that you've got enough there to go ahead with. So go ahead, I'm going to go ahead and we'll see what we can come up with. Okay, so what I did was I did the option of putting in some little stitches on each corner. All right, so then his head, its head, Frank and Teddy, Frank, his head is on, all right? So now what I thought was then, now what I'll do is I'll go around and do the rest of the stitching to attach the rest of his head, because once again, we don't want his head falling off, especially if you're making this for somebody else. The last thing you want is for the teddy's head to come off. So once again, I know we're doing stitching on the outside, but once again, in this case, there's not a lot you can do. Like I said, the best option is to use cotton that is the same color as the felt that you are needling into. So like I said, for me, of course, I probably could have done a pink on this side because everybody kind of knew what was happening, so I didn't really have to do the black, but I've done black throughout Frank's life, so I might as well continue with doing black. All right, and once again, he's not the strongest thing, but you can twist and turn, okay? So I think give that a go, try and stitch him up, and if you really stuff up with stitching around the neck, I will show you an option shortly, all right? So I'm just gonna go ahead and keep stitching. You also do that too. Okay, so I went around and I did the stitching all the way around, and yes, he has come out looking like Frank and Teddy, where he's got stitches all up there. My other half seems to think that he is the ugliest teddy bear that he's ever seen, but you know what, we're just going to call him Frank for now instead of Frankenstein, and he did the job. He kept me busy for a little while during lockdown, so if you're watching this after 2021, well then this was just a little project that I decided to put online for my students in 2021, or actually and other students who have access to the video, and so it was just something to do. Once again, there are loads of options that you can do. I said I've added the Y here on the first lot that I was doing, and that was because the person that it was going for or going to, their first name started with Y, but I actually made two of these, so one to keep, so I could actually show people how to make it later on. So if you want, you could do that as well. Teddy bears that you often buy from the shop, sometimes on their little butts here, they have a little autograph, so you could always do a little, I could do a JW on the bottom of that one to say that it was mine if I was giving it to someone to show that I'd made it. Once again, you can try some other options if you want to make another one. Don't use buttons for eyes, just use the fabric for eyes. Don't use the buttons for legs. You could do all that. If you wanted to make a slim, longer teddy, you could do that too. So there's lots and lots of options. The other option now that you can do is if your stitching is really bad, you could actually give your teddy a cape. Like this isn't cut to size, but you could just get some felt and you could wrap it around like that, and then all you'd have to do is, even if you wanted to, you could put a little button on here and you could actually just sew that together with a button, and he or she or it would have a little cape. So it's completely up to you what you want to do, but like I said, do what you want. I'm hoping that you enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments if you did, and you never know, you might see me online again organizing some kind of craft for you or instructional video. Alrighty, take care everyone, bye.